food, medical aid, and basic supplies for survival to a population besieged, starved, and bombed relentlessly by Israel. Over the last few weeks, like I'm sure many of you have, I followed the flotilla's journey tirelessly, with the live stream up on one screen, the tracker on another, flipping through social media channels, grasping for any updates or assurances I could find. I spoke with my mother daily, who told me about her boatmates, their stories, the meals that they pulled together from their stock, who she played chess with that day, what she was reading. I added all of the members of the Paola One on Instagram, scanning the stories that they posted each day and savoring the fleeting moments I saw of my mother with her hat tied tight around her head, protecting her Irish skin from the Mediterranean sun, waving at the camera, laughing with her boatmates in the background, braiding someone's hair. Well, I took comfort in knowing what a fierce woman my mother is, and in the power of numbers that sailed together with her to Gaza. I also knew that what they were up against was a rogue, genocidal, and famously the least moral army in the world, which filled me with fear and a desperation to cling to these shots of her in case they might have been the last that I had. In the last few days before they were intercepted, my mother reflected on what a shame it would be if they didn't make it in the end. They were so close, carrying 300 tons of food and supplies that are still desperately needed. I was operating on very little sleep, going through the motions of trying to keep up, go to work, check for updates. So it had been a while since I had sat for a moment with the weight and the magnitude of this mission she was a part of, and the hope that it carried. 500 participants, 44 countries, and hundreds more working in the background, organizing and coordinating everything in solidarity with the people of Palestine, and a deep commitment to opening up a humanitarian corridor through their waters. A few days ago, we watched as the flotilla was illegally intercepted by Israel. My mother, alongside hundreds of activists, were abducted by Israeli occupation forces and taken to an Israeli prison. In the days that have followed, I've been anxiously scraping communication channels, searching for updates. I've not heard from my mother since that night and have received very little information about her status, if she's okay, when she's coming home. The legal team in occupied Palestine called Dalella is working with kidnapped flotilla participants. They published an update yesterday, and I encourage you to follow their channel for ongoing information. They noted that the participants had been subjected to aggression, to threats and harassment by the IOF, including being woken violently when they tried to sleep. They were denied access to the bathroom, to water, to food, to their medications. They were filmed and taunted by Israeli leaders. The image of my mother's mistreatment by the IOF makes me physically ill, and there's not a moment that passes I don't worry for her safety. I call on the government to do everything they can to secure my mother and all other Irish citizens illegally held by Israel protection and safe return home. I've been informed now that around 130 flotilla participants have been deported to Turkey, none of them Irish citizens. As we stand here, 2 more flotillas sail to break the illegal siege and form a humanitarian corridor. Our family members would not be there if our government did their job. Where are the consequences for the genocidal entity of Israel? Yesterday, my sister reminded us that my mother knew the risks of this mission, and she still stood firm that it had to be done. I dream of a day when this is no longer true, and Palestinians may sail their own waters freely. We will not give up until this happens. Thanks for hearing me, and Free Palestine.
Maureen and the other participants in the flotilla, they represent the very best of humanity. Maureen Maureen was really, and is, great crack. I spent some time with her in Tunis as well as in Egypt. And people who are embarking on this dangerous, sacrificing mission, just being in good spirits because they know they're together with others from around the world and they're doing everything they can to stop the genocide that they know about. That's the best of humanity. The treatment of these activists by the genocidal Israeli state represents the worst of humanity. People who are bringing baby formula, bringing food, bringing medicine to the people of Gaza who are being deliberately starved. And they are illegally kidnapped in international waters in an act of piracy. They are cable-tied with their arms, their sleep is interrupted, they're abused by the fascist minister Ben Gvir, and they're imprisoned. All while the world's leaders, including our own government, pretend that a plan for a colonial carve-up of Gaza is a peace plan. A plan that would see war criminals Donald Trump and Tony Blair installed as imperial viceroys of Gaza. An absolute obscenity. But we know, in the words of Fred Hampton, you can jail a revolutionary, but you cannot jail the revolution. And the heroic act of the flotilla participants has turned a page in our global uprising. They've opened a new chapter in reality, and already that next page has been written by the Italian workers who have now twice gone on general strike for Palestine. And that shows the way forward for all of our movement to stop this genocide and to defeat imperialism, to shut it down for Palestine. We have to now build for workplace walkouts, for walkouts from schools, from walkouts for colleges to follow the Italians and others. To go beyond the protests, to participate on the 16th of October with the healthcare workers for Palestine, to walk out. And I'll just finish with this. In 3 weeks' time, friends, we're going to have a new president. It could be a president who says the Occupied Territories Bill won't make any difference and gives the game away about the government position. It could be a president who says that Israel had legitimate military objectives in its genocide. Or we could have a president who is a part of our movement. Who not just for months, but for decades has been speaking out against Israeli apartheid, against the occupation, and speaking up for Palestine. Someone who defends the right of Palestinians to self-determination in the face of the whole world saying they have no right to it. It's clear to me who you are all voting for, but I'd say this: don't just vote for Catherine Connolly, join the movement to elect her in the next 3 weeks. Thank you very much. Thank you, General Paul. And thank you to Maureen and all the citizens, almost 500 citizens who took to the seas to break the siege. Every one of them